Okay, if you've made it this far, I appreciate it. I also know that the YouTube is going to be popping because the value dogs went off last week. Underdogs, last week in week 10 of the NFL, they go 11-3 against the spread, putting them up to 48% on the season, which is a huge jump considering they've been pretty poor the last few weeks, if I do say so myself. So bringing them back up from what was 44.5% 2 weeks ago when we did our value dogs. So that is exciting. As for our records last week, man, that was some exciting stuff. We go 5-1 as a duo. John goes 3-0. He hits Bengals +6. He hits Dolphins +1, and he hits the Cards +1 against the Jets. One of us was bound to lose that one, and it just happened to be me. So with all that being said, John is now 13-14. If you've been following John for the last few weeks, you're making money. And with that, if you've been following me for the last few weeks, you've been pretty 500. I've been 1-2 or 2-1 for the last few weeks, but 2-1 last week, and that brings me to 11-19 on the season. So things are looking up for me. Oh, I'm sorry. John is 14-16. Those numbers didn't add up in my head, and I had to check it. John is 14-16. So exciting stuff from our boy. With that being said, here are my NFL Week 11 Sound Up Seattle value dogs. Starting off, I am going to take the Chiefs +2.5 against the Bills. Anytime you have Patrick Mahomes as an underdog, you take that money. You take it. I don't know if this has stayed or if this will stay. I doubt this will stay at +2.5, but I would expect it to go towards the Chiefs. So if you can get it at 2.5, take that. That's kind of all there is to say. Like, the Bills have been good, but I don't think they're going to have all of their receivers. And even with Amari Cooper, like, the Chiefs have just proven time and time again that they can win any close game, and I expect this game to be close. I don't expect, everybody's been talking about the Chiefs and how they, I had a protein shake before this podcast, how they do the little things well. And I think even against the Bills, the same things are going to happen. Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes is the matchup of the year every single year in the NFL right now, and it's not going to change. I think it's still going to be a close game. Take the points. If it was Bills +2.5, I probably would have said take the Bills +2.5. This game is going to be decided by 2 or less points, and in the fact that it's the Chiefs, you take that every day of the week. My second pick for Sound Up Seattle Value Dogs Week 11, I'm going to take... I think I'm going to take the Colts +3.5 against the Jets. I was in favor of the Jets last week, and I've officially decided that the Jets are getting too much favor. They're actually +4 at the time of this recording. It changed since I prepared my value dogs. The Colts are +4. People are taking the Jets -3.5 against the Colts, and I just don't see it. The Jets have been so bad. Granted, this is kind of the time that they can turn it around still, and I'm holding out hope. But the Colts have actually been kind of the underdog magic piece of the season so far for me. I've hit them, I think, the most out of any team. And I trust that they're going to be able to get right. I trust that they're going to give the ball to Jonathan Taylor against a weaker Jets defense than people thought that it would be going into the season. And Jonathan Taylor, if he's healthy, can control the pace of this game. The Jets have better offensive weapons. They probably have a better quarterback in Aaron Rodgers than either Joe Flacco or Anthony Richardson. But Jonathan Taylor as a whole and the Colts defense versus the Jets defense, I think this game will be close. It'll probably be low 20s to high teens range. And with that, the Colts are always, competing in that area. So expect the Colts to be within a field goal here and take +4. If you were, following along with me. My last pick. I talked about it earlier. I have to do it. The Seahawks are +6.5 against the 49ers. And that is just right where I want this team to be. I think was it 12-point loss? Or maybe it was an 8-point loss. I don't remember if they lost 36-24 or 26-34. But that late touchdown against the 49ers early in the season, I think that was misrepresentative of how the 49ers have played the last 3 games. Like I said, they've been close, even against a Jets team and against the Buccaneers who have who are riddled with injuries. I think the Seahawks team, especially if DK Metcalf is returning, I think they compete with the 49ers. The 49ers have had the Seahawks number for quite some time, but now is the time to come back. Now is the time to strike. They need to get to 500 here, and this is the week to at least be within 6 points, or within 7 points, I guess, because you get that 6.5. All right. Now, for those of you who really want to win money, I've got John Kerry's picks for his value dogs. Don't worry. He picked 3 different ones for me, which, I guess I got the first round of picks, so that's nice of him to give me that benefit. Here they are. John's week 1 value dogs. He has the Atlanta Falcons, or not week 1, week 11 value dogs. John has the Atlanta Falcons plus 2.5 against the Cleveland, God, I'm doing this so horribly. Against the Denver Broncos. What am I saying? The Falcons are plus 2.5 against the Denver Broncos. My handwriting is horrible. I understand where he's coming from. The Falcons have a pretty potent offense. The Broncos have a decent defense. They hold teams to low-scoring games. The question is, can the Broncos score on this Falcons team and hold them offensively? And I think the Broncos can. There's a reason I didn't take this line. I think it's because the Broncos defensively the Seahawks held this Falcons team to 14 points and were able to score 34. I think the Falcons are kind of a fraudulent team. So I worry about this line, but if you're trusting John Kerry, take those 2.5 points from the Falcons. John's second pick, he ended up going with the Washington Commanders plus 3.5 against the Eagles in an NFC East matchup of the season. This is probably the best game of the NFC East that we're going to get. Eagles-Commanders is a great one, and it really is a test of, hey, are the Commanders for real? Can they compete against high-level opponents? We saw them last week. They were favored by 2.5 points against the Steelers, ended up losing by 1. I think it's a different style where the Eagles are going to be able to control the ball more, and the Steelers are going to kind of take deep shots, and the Steelers run the ball and then pass deep, kind of like the Seahawks do when DK is playing. But the Eagles are a different beast. If AJ Brown is not playing, this line looks amazing because the Eagles don't really know what to do offensively. They kind of just give the ball to Saquon if AJ Brown isn't playing. And the Commanders have looked good the entire season. Like, you can't complain about where they've been at. They lost by 1 to a Steelers team that is 7-2 right now. The Steelers are a big threat. So we will see. I like this line a lot. I was a little scared by it, but AJ Brown's been off and on with hamstring injury all season. I've got high hopes for this one. John's last line, the last line of the day, the last bit of the pod before I sign us out. John has the Cincinnati Bengals plus 1.5 against the Are they Los Angeles? Is it the Los Angeles Chargers? Am I dumb? Bengals plus 1.5 against the Chargers. Either way, I'm a fan of this one. I think the Bengals need this win to be able to stay relevant in the AFC North. This is a game where it's going to be either it kind of has to be offensively potent for the Chargers because the Bengals are going to score 28 points. Like, that's a given. The Bengals are so good offensively, and T. Higgins is supposed to be back. Please, for my fantasy team, I need this man. T. Higgins is supposed to be back, and that would just create even more problems for the Chargers defense. So we will see. I think J.K. Dobbins for the Chargers needs to have a big game. And then Ladd McConkey needs to have a big game because this Chargers team has not really shown that they can keep up with the top tier offenses in the league. So I love this line for John, plus 1.5. It's a bet on the Bengals to win purely by outscoring their opponent. We'll see if the Chargers defense can hold them to anything substantial. But for now, I'm a fan of this Bengals plus 1.5 line. And there you have it. Those were the value dogs. That was the podcast for the week of November 14th when this is getting released. I hope you enjoy. There's going to be some more shorts, some more stuff coming out on our YouTube, so please check that out. I hope you enjoyed my lovely picture of John that I drew in paint in approximately 35 seconds. So I hope you enjoyed that. And yeah, if you enjoyed this episode of Sound Up Seattle, please feel free to give us a follow on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. If you're watching on YouTube, please give us a like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. We love to have people watching the pod, and we love to hear from you guys. One question that I have, obviously for the YouTube comments, if you guys have made it this far, the Mariners are lightly linked to a few free agents this year. And there's a few that I think are really good for the Mariners. So of these three that I'm about to name, I would like to know who you guys think is the best addition that the Mariners could make. We've got Christian Walker at first base, Alex Bregman at third base, or Gleyber Torres at second base. Those are all positions of need for the Mariners. And all free agents that have good value. I don't think they're going to go for a Pete Alonso. Obviously, if they go for a Juan Soto, like that would be great, but I just don't think they have they're the market that Juan Soto is going to be looking for. So there's some Mariners discussion to be had as the offseason continues. And I would have loved to get into it, but it's already 10:15 p.m. on Tuesday night, and I have other things to do. I have to go to bed. I'm tired. And I've got an interview tomorrow. Exciting news for me. Continuing with the outro, you can find Sound Up Seattle on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, all at Sound Up Seattle, all lowercase, all one word. You can find me, Tyler, at TyCart50, everywhere it's important. And you can find John somewhere in Seattle. He's vibing right now on vacation. He didn't have his equipment, so I just had to do this on my own. I hope he's doing well. I hope his Colts win this week, specifically for my value dog. And with all that being said, gosh, it's a Tuesday night. I'm looking at this slate of games this week, and all I can say is, let's go Hawks, baby.